8-year-old Jiwoo Park sat by the window of her family's mountain cabin watching the stars. The cabin was deep in the forest, far from city lights. Her parents were outside, setting up tomorrow's training course. Jiwoo's parents weren't like other parents. Do-hyun and Hyeri Park had both been Special Forces soldiers before becoming wilderness survival instructors. Since Jiwoo could walk, they had taught her how to stay alive in the wild, how to read danger signs, and how to turn every day things into tools or weapons. Always be aware of your surroundings, her father would say. Know the exits, her mother would add, and know what can help you if things go wrong. Jiwoo liked these lessons. They made her feel strong and smart, unlike school where she was just another kid. A strange light flashed outside, brighter than any star. Jiwoo moved closer to the window. The light pulsed, changing from white to blue to green. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't a helicopter. It wasn't anything she had ever seen before. The cabin's security camera would be recording this, she thought. Her parents had installed cameras everywhere. The light grew bigger. The air seemed to buzz. Jiwoo felt her skin tingle like static electricity. She tried to call out to her parents, but no sound came from her mouth. Outside, things began to move, in impossible ways. Trees bent without breaking, rocks floated up from the ground. The security camera's red recording light blinked faster and faster, then everything went black. When Jiwoo woke up, she was lying on a smooth, cold floor. Above her was not the wooden ceiling of the cabin, but a curved metal surface that glowed with a soft blue light. She sat up slowly. She was in a small room with transparent walls. Beyond the walls, she could see other small rooms, also with transparent walls. Inside each room was a different creature, things Jiwoo had never seen before. Some had too many limbs. Some had skin that changed colors. Some had no eyes but many mouths. They were aliens, and that meant Jiwoo was on an alien ship. Her heart beat faster, but she remembered what her parents taught her. Fear will kill you faster than any predator, her mother always said. Control your fear. Use your head. So instead of crying or screaming, Jiwoo studied her prison. The transparent wall had no visible door. The floor and ceiling were made of the same smooth metal. There was a small hole in one corner that might be a drain. A shallow dish in another corner held water. Next to it was a tray with something that might be food. Jiwoo carefully touched the transparent wall. It felt like very thick glass. She knocked on it gently. It made no sound. Beyond her cell, large creatures moved about. They were tall, maybe 3 times Jiwoo's height. They looked like giant insects with 4 arms and 2 legs. Their heads had large compound eyes and moving parts around what must be mouths. They wore devices on their upper arms that flashed with colored lights. These must be the Vrul, thought Jiwoo. She didn't know how she knew their name, but somehow it was in her head. One of the Vrul noticed Jiwoo was awake. It came closer, its head tilting as it watched her. It clicked something to another Vrul who came over with a device. The device scanned Jiwoo from head to toe. The Vrul seemed surprised when Jiwoo didn't back away or show fear. Instead, she stood still, watching them as carefully as they watched her. I need to learn everything about this place, Jiwoo thought. I need to find a way out. She looked at the other captured creatures. Most cowered in corners. Some made sad sounds. Some slept or maybe pretended to sleep. The Vrul moved away, clicking to each other and looking at the device that had scanned her. Jiwoo knew they were studying her. That was okay. She was studying them too. She noticed things already. The Vrul had a pattern to their movements. They checked cells in the same order each time. The lights in the ceiling dimmed and brightened, in regular cycles, probably their version of day and night. The doors they used required them to touch their devices to panels on the walls. Jiwoo sat down on the floor of her cell and started counting. Counting steps. Counting time between rounds. Counting Vrul. She would wait. She would watch. She would learn. And then, when the time was right, she would show these aliens that taking her had been a very big mistake. Senior researcher Krill moved his upper arms in a pattern that showed confusion. For 7 days, the human child had behaved, nothing like their research predicted. Watch the recording again, he clicked to his assistant Nev. See how she tests the wall strength systematically, how she measures the food delivery timing. This is not random movement. On the screen, the small human female named Jiwoo was carefully testing different parts of her containment cell. She pressed against the transparent walls, testing for weak spots. She examined the feeding slot. She observed the air vents with unusual focus. Perhaps this specimen is abnormal? Suggested Nev, his antennae twitching. The data says human offspring are emotional, easily frightened, and lack critical thinking. Our data is wrong. Krill clicked firmly. Increase observation frequency. I want to know what she does at all times. In her cell, Jiwoo was aware of the watching eyes. Her father had taught her about being observed by enemies. Let them see what you want them to see, he had said during their games in the forest. So Jiwoo was careful about when and how she tested her prison. At night, when the lights dimmed and fewer Vrul walked the corridors, she worked on her plans. She had already learned much about the ship. The air changed every 6 hours. Food came twice during the bright period. Different colored lights on the Vrul's arm devices meant different ranks. Most importantly, she had discovered the small metal panel near the floor of her cell had a tiny gap. With patience, she might eventually pry it open. Jiwoo also watched the other captives. Most were still frightened, but one creature in the cell next to hers was different. It was small, with smooth purple skin and very large black eyes. It watched Jiwoo as carefully as she watched the Vrul. On the 10th day, something strange happened. While Jiwoo was sitting quietly in her cell, a voice spoke inside her head. You plan escape? Jiwoo almost jumped but controlled herself. She looked around carefully, then at the purple creature next door. It was staring at her intently. You hear me, yes? I am Mido. My people speak with minds. Jiwoo nodded slightly, trying not to show her surprise. The tall ones took me from my home moon. The voice continued in her head. Many cycles ago. You are different from other captives, not afraid. Jiwoo looked directly at the creature and thought hard. I am going to escape. Do you know this ship? The creature blinked slowly. Yes. I hear thoughts of workers. Ship very big. Has 3 levels. We are on middle level. Bottom has engines, top has control room. This was valuable information. Jiwoo asked more questions with her mind, and Mido answered. She learned about the ship's power systems, about how the containment cells worked, about the schedules the Vrul kept. Why tell me this? Jiwoo thought to Mido. Want to go home? Came the simple answer. You might help. Meanwhile, Krill was growing increasingly concerned. Equipment near the human child's cell was malfunctioning. A power coupling had failed yesterday. Today, a cleaning drone was found disassembled. Most worrying, tools left near her cell disappeared. Impossible, said Nev when Krill suggested the human might be responsible. Her cell is secure. Our systems would detect any breach. Test her, ordered Krill. I want to know what she's capable of. The next day, the Vrul placed a simple puzzle box in Jiwoo's cell. Most species took days to solve it. Jiwoo examined it carefully, then set it aside. That night, when she thought no one was watching, she solved it in minutes. Extraordinary, clicked Krill, watching through hidden sensors. Let's try something more challenging. Each day they gave Jiwoo more difficult tests. She solved them all, sometimes quickly, sometimes taking her time if she sensed they were watching closely. What the Vrul didn't realize was that through Mido, Jiwoo was learning about their technology. Each puzzle they gave her taught her more about how their systems worked. And each night when the Vrul thought she was sleeping, Jiwoo worked on loosening the metal panel in her cell. She had already created small tools from her food tray. She had mapped the ventilation system through Mido's knowledge. She knew which parts of the ship were less monitored. Tomorrow, she thought to Mido on the 14th night. The guards change at the dim time. There will be fewer eyes watching. We will move then. All captives? Asked Mito. All who want freedom, replied Shibu. Tell them to be ready. As Jiwoo lay down to rest before their escape attempt, a small smile crossed her face. The Vrul thought they were studying her. They didn't realize she had been studying them all along. The deep hum of the ship changed pitch as the lights dimmed. For the night cycle, Jiwoo lay still on her sleeping mat, eyes closed but mind alert. She counted silently, waiting for the guard change she had observed for 17 days. The soft click of mandibles and the swish of the Vrul's hard exoskeletons told her the night crew had arrived. These guards were always less attentive. They believed their technology made escape impossible. When the footsteps faded, Jiwoo moved quickly. From a tier in her sleeping mat, she pulled out her collection of small tools, pieces of her food tray she had broken and shaped, bits of metal she had worked loose from the drain. For weeks she had been hiding these items, making sure the cleaning drones didn't find them. The small access panel near the floor was her target. She had loosened its edges night after night. Tonight, it finally gave way. The opening was small, too. Small for an adult human, but perfect for an 8-year-old girl who had practiced squeezing through tight spaces in the mountains with her parents. Move like water, her mother had always told her. Water can find a way through even the smallest crack. Jiwoo slipped into the dark maintenance tunnel behind the panel. The air was stale and warm. Pipes and wires lined the narrow passage. Using the mental map she had created from Mito's information, she turned right and crawled toward the telepathic alien cell. In the command center, a junior technician noticed a small warning light flashing on his console. Cell 7 sensor malfunction, he reported to his supervisor. Run a diagnostic. The supervisor clicked without much concern. Equipment failures happened occasionally. The primitive specimens couldn't possibly understand their technology, let alone disable it. Meanwhile, Jiwoo had reached the back of Mito's cell. The small purple alien was waiting, large eyes blinking anxiously. You came, Mito's thought reached Jiwoo as she worked to remove the panel. I promised, Jiwoo thought back. With a final twist of her makeshift tool, the panel came loose. Mito squeezed through the opening, joining Jiwoo in the dark tunnel. Others next? Mito asked telepathically. Jiwoo nodded. The ones who want to come. Not all will be brave enough. They moved through the maintenance tunnels, stopping at each cell that housed a captive willing to risk escape. A fuzzy creature with 6 eyes joined them, then a pair of slender beings with reflective skin. A small creature that looked like a floating jellyfish drifted after them. Each freed captive added to their knowledge. Some knew parts of the ship Mito hadn't accessed with his telepathy. Others understood Vrul technology from their own world's experiences. Alarm system controls are 3 junctions ahead, thought a greenish being with long fingers. I can disrupt them temporarily, Jiwoo replied. But we need weapons. She led them to a maintenance storage area she had learned about from Mito's mental explorations. Inside were tools the Vrul used to repair the ship's systems. Jiwoo grabbed a long metal pipe that had broken off from a cooling system. Using techniques her father had taught her, she quickly showed the others how to turn simple tools into defensive weapons. My father says anything can be a weapon if you use it correctly, she explained to the amazed aliens. It was the floating jellyfish creature who detected the danger first. Its translucent body pulsed with warning colors. Guards coming. Mito translated its signals. They froze in place, pressing against walls and into shadows. 3 Vrul maintenance workers passed by, clicking to each other about a strange power, fluctuation. After they passed, Jiwoo led the group toward the ship's central level, where other specimen containers were kept. Their numbers grew with each cell they opened. Soon, 20 different alien beings followed the small human child through the shadowy passages of the ship. The alarm finally sounded when a Vrul scientist doing a routine check found Jiwoo's empty cell. Red lights flashed throughout the ship. The loudspeakers clicked and buzzed with urgent Vrul communications. Specimen escape. Containment breach on level 2. In the command center, senior researcher Krill stared in disbelief at the security feeds showing multiple empty cells. Impossible. How could a primitive child do this? He clicked angrily. Deploying capture drones, announced the security chief. The sleek, floating drones sped through the main corridors, their sensors scanning for escapees. But Jiwoo had anticipated this. She had kept their group in the maintenance tunnels and service shafts too small for the Vrul or their larger drones. When a small scout drone did find them, Jiwoo was ready. Using a technique her mother had taught her for disabling electronic devices, she jammed the drone's sensors with a piece of reflective material from one of the aliens' skin. The confused drone spun in circles before Jiwoo struck it with her metal pipe. "We need to reach the escape pods," she told the group through Mito's telepathy. "But first we need to create a distraction." Jiwoo divided them into teams. Some would cause problems in different parts of the ship. Others would work to disable security systems. The rest would follow her toward the escape pod bay. As chaos spread through the vessel, Krill realized with growing horror that this was not random. The human child wasn't just escaping, she was leading a coordinated rebellion. And the Vrul, who had never faced such a situation before, had no protocol to stop it. The freed captives huddled in the abandoned storage bay that Jiwoo had converted into their headquarters. The room was filled with various alien creatures, all different shapes and sizes, but all looking to the small human child for guidance. "They will expect us to hide," Jiwoo said, sitting cross-legged on a crate. Mito translated her words into thoughts that all could understand. "They will expect us to run. We will not do what they expect." A tall, thin alien with 4 arms raised one limb. "But they have weapons. They control the ship. We are just escaped specimens." Jiwoo smiled. "My mother taught me that when you are smaller than your enemy, you must be smarter. When you are weaker, you must be more creative." She stood up and walked to a ship diagram that Mito had helped her create on the wall. "We won't fight them directly. We will make the ship fight for us." She divided the escaped captives into teams. Those who understood technology would help damage ship systems. Those who could move quietly would set traps. Those with special abilities, like Mito's telepathy, would gather information. "We are not prey anymore," Jiwoo told them as they prepared to leave. "From now on, we hunt them." The first sign of trouble for the Vrul came when gravity failed in the security office. Guards floated helplessly, unable to reach their equipment. Then the lights went out in sections of corridors between the command center and the engine room, cutting off communication routes. In the command center, Captain Vrek slammed his upper arms against the console. "How can a juvenile primitive cause such damage?" he demanded as reports of failures came in from all over the ship. "She is not acting alone," senior researcher Krill replied. "She has organized the other specimens. They are working together under her direction." "Impossible. They are from different worlds, different species." "The human child has united them," Krill insisted. "And she understands our systems too well. She's targeting specific functions in a strategic pattern." Captain Vrek sent security teams to sweep the ship section by section, but the teams soon reported strange problems. Doors sealed unexpectedly, trapping guards in corridors. Air vents released sleeping gas into security stations. Maintenance tools became traps that shocked or entangled the unwary. "These are hunting techniques," Krill realized, reviewing the reports. "The human is hunting us." A 6-armed maintenance worker disappeared while checking a power coupling. Hours later, they found him locked in a storage closet bound with strips of material from bedding. 3 guards went to investigate a strange noise in the ventilation system. Only 2 returned, confused about what had happened to their companion. Word spread among the Vrul. "Watch for the human child. She comes from nowhere. She disappears like smoke." Stories circulated among the freed captives as well. They whispered about how Jiwoo had studied the ways of Earth's most dangerous animals, how to stalk like a tiger, how to set traps like spiders, how to strike quickly like a snake. Some began calling her the Little Predator. In her makeshift command center, Jiwoo updated their wall map, marking areas they now controlled in blue and Vrul-held sections in red. The blue was spreading. "They're getting desperate," Mito reported after scanning the thoughts of a passing crew member. "The captain is planning something big." Jiwoo nodded. "What would you do if you couldn't defeat an enemy inside your ship?" "Remove that part of the ship," answered a small reptilian creature who had once been a pilot on its world. Exactly, said Jiwoo. They'll try to cut us off. We need to be ready. She sent Mito with a team to the section where most escaped captives were hiding. Their job was to access the emergency control panel there. Meanwhile, Jiwoo led another team toward the main computer core. Captain Vrex did exactly as Jiwoo predicted. Prepare to seal and jettison sections B through F, he ordered. We'll eject the problems into space. A technician began the sequence, inputting commands to lock down the targeted sections. But instead of confirmation, error messages flashed across the screen. Command rejected, the technician reported with confusion. The emergency controls in those sections have been manually overridden. Override them back, shouted the captain. I can't, the technician clicked frantically. Someone has changed the authorization codes. What the Vrul didn't know was that Mito's telepathic abilities had allowed them to extract the codes from a sleeping officer's mind. Jiwoo had then used these codes to lock the Vrul out of their own systems. In the computer core, Jiwoo connected the final wires of a device she had built from stolen parts. It was a simple thing, based on a project her father had once shown her, for interrupting electronic signals. As she activated it, ship-wide communications began to fail. Now they can't coordinate, she told her team, and we control who goes where on this ship. The Vrul, masters of advanced technology and interstellar travel, found themselves being systematically outmaneuvered by a human child, using simple strategies and improvised tools. Fear began to spread among the crew. Not just fear of losing control of their ship, but fear of what this meant about humans as a species. In his private quarters, Captain Vrex made a difficult decision. He would have to negotiate with the human child. For the first time in Vrul history, they would have to admit defeat to a primitive species. Captain Vrex stood with his forearms held stiffly at his sides. Around him, Vrul officers looked down at the floor, their antennae drooping in shame. Before them stood a small human child, barely reaching the height of their lower limbs. Jiwoo Park looked at the alien captain calmly. Behind her stood representatives from every species that had been held captive on the ship. Mito the telepath stayed closest to her, translating thoughts between everyone. Your terms? Clicked Captain Vrex. Jiwoo had prepared for this moment. First, all captives go free. You take each one back to their home world. The captain's mandibles twitched. That will take considerable time and resources. You took them. You return them, Jiwoo said simply. Second, you will give each world information about your research and technology to help heal any damage you caused. The Vrul officers looked at each other nervously. Sharing technology was forbidden by their Science Council. And third, Jiwoo continued, you will mark Earth as dangerous. No Vrul ships will come to our planet again. Agreed, clicked the captain after a moment. Now remove your traps and release my crew members. Jiwoo shook her head. Not yet. First, I want to send a message to your leaders. She pointed to the communication system. The Vrul technicians looked to their captain, who nodded reluctantly. Connect to the High Science Council, he ordered. The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered to life. 3 elder Vrul appeared, their exoskeletons showing the pale blue of advanced age. They clicked in surprise when they saw the scene on the ship. Jiwoo stepped forward. Mito touched her shoulder, creating a mental link that would translate her words into proper Vrul clicking sounds. I am a human child, she stated calmly. Your scientists took me from my family. In 17 days, I have taken your ship. Imagine what our adults could do. The elder's compound eyes widened and their clicking became rapid and concerned. This small being has disabled our security systems, trapped our crew, and now controls our ship, Captain Vrex reported with clear embarrassment. We have agreed to her terms to avoid further incidents. How is this possible? Demanded one elder. Humans are listed as a primitive species in early technological development. That assessment was wrong. Senior researcher Krill stepped forward. They are primitive in technology but advanced in adaptation and survival skills. This offspring has demonstrated problem-solving abilities beyond our understanding. Jiwoo listened patiently to the clicking conversation, getting translations from Mito. Then she spoke again. Humans protect their young. When I return to Earth, my parents and others will want revenge for what you did. I can stop this if you agree to my terms and add one more thing. What more do you want? Asked an elder. Medical technology. My people get sick and hurt. Give us ways to heal them and we won't come looking for you. The elders conferred among themselves, then agreed. The treaty was recorded and transmitted to the Varul homeworld. Over the next few weeks, the ship visited many worlds, returning captives to their homes. At each planet, the story spread about how a human child had defeated the mighty Varul. Some worlds sent representatives to meet Jiwoo, curious about the species that had accomplished such a feat. Finally, it was time to return to Earth. The Varul ship approached carefully, staying high in orbit. A small transport pod was prepared with Jiwoo and the promised medical technology. Will your people use this for war? Asked Krill as he helped load the medical devices. Jiwoo thought about this. Some might want to. But I'll tell them it was a gift for peace. Most will listen. Mito came to say goodbye. The small purple telepath had decided to return to his homeworld rather than visit Earth. Your mind is strong, little predator, he thought. To her. Our stories will speak of you for many cycles. The transport pod descended to Earth at night, landing in the same mountain area where Jiwoo had been taken. When the door opened, she saw her parents standing there, surrounded by people in uniforms. Her mother and father pushed past everyone and ran to her. Hyeri Park dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Do-hyun stood protectively over them both, tears streaming down his face. How did you survive? What happened? Her mother asked, touching Jiwoo's face as if she couldn't believe she was real. Jiwoo hugged them tightly, then whispered, I remembered everything you taught me. I told them I'm not even the most dangerous human child. Government officials soon took over, examining the alien technology and questioning Jiwoo about her experience. Scientists were amazed by the advanced medical devices. Military leaders worried about other alien threats. Far across the galaxy, the Vrul High Council classified Earth as extreme danger, no contact. In their records, they added a special note. Planet inhabited by species whose offspring possess natural combat instincts and adaptability exceeding adult warriors of known civilizations. Approach at extreme peril. Throughout the stars, the story of Jiwoo Park spread from world to world. On some planets, parents used it to scare naughty children. Be good or the human children will get you. On others, it became a legend of hope that even the small and seemingly powerless could overcome great odds. And on Earth, a little girl who had once been prey returned to her family as the galaxy's most unlikely predator. The end.